to my channel. So happy to have you guys back. Today I'm going to be sharing my labor and delivery story with you guys. So grab your glass of wine and let's get to it. So I probably have been recording for about 5 minutes when I realized that I wasn't recording. So let's drink to that, everybody. Anyways, so my due date was February 22nd, 2017. From the beginning, I told my doctor, and I'd done all my research, and I wanted to have a natural labor and delivery. So no medication. I didn't want to be induced. Now, obviously, I was open to the idea if I had to be, and if something were to happen, but I didn't want it to be like, oh, she didn't come on her due date, boom, induce me. Like, I asked my doctor how long she'd let me go, and since I was having a very healthy pregnancy, I had no history of any medical issues, she was gonna let me go to 42 weeks, so 2 weeks past my due date. And I was happy about that. I mean, so my due date, so February 22nd, 2017 rolled around, and Aubrey was not coming out. Like, there were no signs. I know, like, everyone says, doctors will tell you and everything, like, you don't know when it's gonna happen. Like, it can just happen like that. You're fine 1 second, and then next thing you know, you're in labor. But that just wasn't the case for us. I never really had a labor scare, so there wasn't ever a time where I'm like, I think this is it. I may have had Braxton Hicks contractions a little bit, but I drank some water, moved around, and they were gone. So didn't really have a whole lot of Braxton Hicks. If I did have them, which, I mean, you have them, I just didn't feel them really, maybe a few times, but nothing, and some women experience them throughout the second half of their pregnancy. I didn't. Just every pregnancy is different, every woman's different, and that's just kind of how my pregnancy was. When I went in for my 40-week checkup, so my due date, my doctor swept my membrane, so and then not too long after that, like a few hours after that, I went back to work and I lost my mucus plug. And I had read and I'd seen, like, where women say that, like, they went into labor 24 to 72 hours after losing their mucus plug. So I was like, cool, this is gonna get going. I'm so excited. 24 to 72 hours after I lost my mucus plug, Aubrey wasn't going anywhere. So, we waited and we waited. I went in on March 2nd, 2017. We went in so once you're past your due date, at least at my doctor's office, you start going to the doctor twice a week. So at the beginning of the week, we went and just got monitored. So they strapped me up, listened to her heart rate, and watched my contractions for 15 minutes or whatever. And she was great. She was doing wonderful. I didn't even see my OB that day. And so later in that week, it was a Thursday, we went in, and it was one where I was going to see my OB. They did do an ultrasound, just normal stuff. Aubrey was looking great. Definitely was running out of room. And so we go in, we meet with my doctor, and she comes in and she's like, I hate that I'm having to tell you this, but we're going to need to induce you tomorrow. My heart sunk. Like, and I don't know if that's the exact order that she told me, but, like, this is in my mind, this is what happened. So she's like, everything's fine, but when I was looking at your ultrasound, your fluid is low. So it could be fine, but it could also be, there could possibly be something wrong with the placenta. The placenta could stop working, which is part of a fear when you go past your due date, is the placenta still functioning, which, if you know, the placenta is what pretty much just gives the baby all the nutrients for 9 months. And so she was like, I know you don't want to be induced and you really want to have a natural labor and delivery, but just to be safe, I'm going to induce you tomorrow. I'm going to be on call, so I'll be the doctor to deliver her. And because I was scheduled to be induced at 42 weeks, which was the following Wednesday. So this was Thursday, March 2nd. And I was going to be induced Friday, March 3rd. But I had been scheduled for an induction on Wednesday, March 8th, I believe. which was my 42-week mark, which I was hoping I'd go into labor before then. But unfortunately, just to be safe, like, I didn't fight it. My doctor was very pro natural, so I trusted her in that if she wasn't going to induce me if she didn't feel the need. So we went ahead and scheduled it. I didn't fight it. Completely trust my doctor. So we went out for a little last date night. I called my parents, which I always called my mom after my doctor's appointments. So I called my mom and I let her know, like, you guys need to come up here. I don't know when you want to, but I'm getting induced tomorrow morning. So within an hour, like, they were on the road. So it was about a 3-hour drive for them. So we went on a little last date night, got some barbecue and ice cream. I know, a great combo before you give birth, right? And I just wanted a good nice meal because you can't eat anything. I couldn't eat anything after or drink anything after midnight. And that was hard. It wasn't as hard as I thought, but like, I drink so much water. I drank so much water throughout my pregnancy. It was crazy. But anyways, so we were scheduled to be induced, I believe, at 6:30 or 7 on March 3rd. And so we went in, got checked in, got up to the room. They inserted an IV, took blood, ran tests, all that. And what they did is, because I forget what I can't remember what I was dilated and stuff, but I had been at 0.5 centimeter dilated for like 3 weeks. I think whenever I got there, I was like 1.5 centimeters maybe. But whenever we got there, after they finished all my vitals and everything, and they did all this stuff, we had a nursing shift change, and the new nurse came in and asked a million questions and kind of discussed what I wanted, and then they gave me half a pill of Cytotec. And Cytotec is used just to soften your cervix. It's not supposed to send you into labor. But about maybe an hour and a half. So they did that around 7 probably, 7:30. And I don't even remember what time that I was like, okay, I'm getting terrible cramps. I think I'm in labor. So I was telling the nurse about it, and like, I was in labor. And so my doctor came in, so like, all right, well, your doctor's gonna come back in, you can just, whatever, we'll probably do Pitocin at this time. So I talked to my doctor, and she's like, you're already 4 centimeters. So I dilated, went into labor. Even though, like, it's almost like that little bit of Cytotec is what I needed to just push Aubrey to go into labor, because I was in labor. And so she's like, if you don't want to do Pitocin, we don't have to. And I was like, I would like to move around and do this on my own as much as possible. So opted out for the Pitocin, got a lock on my IV so that I could move around freely, got a yoga ball in there, and rocked, walked. I did some of the moves that we learned in our yoga, or not our yoga class, but our Lamaze class, and things happened, I feel like, pretty quick. My contractions were probably 2 minutes apart the entire time. Like, there was no break. It felt like they were less than 2 minutes apart, and it was just like boom, 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 boom. Let's get this party started, which is fine. I'm like, Aubrey, come girl. So then when I was about, so I got to the point where I'm like, all right, I had a contraction that I almost, and mind you, I don't have an epidural at this point, and I'm like, all right, I just had a terrible contraction. I was doing a really good job at breathing through my contractions, and not that it was easy. It was very difficult, and it was challenging for sure, but I was doing it. There's this one contraction that I was like, all right, I couldn't breathe through it. I was hyperventilating. I had a mini panic attack. I'm like, I think it's time. Like, I need the epidural. And so, and at that point I was 7 centimeters. At one point they checked me and I was 7 centimeters, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm fine. Like, we're this far. And then I'm like, I gotta have it. So this is not too much longer. And I was like, I gotta have it. And so they sat me back in the bed, because I hadn't been sitting in bed at all. Like I'd been moving around. I didn't walk around the hospital. I stayed in my room, but I was walking around my room. I was on the yoga, like sitting on the yoga ball, all that stuff. And then, so they had put me, so you had to be on an IV, because I wasn't on an IV at all. Like I was drinking water on my own, eating ice and stuff like that. And then, so they put me on an IV for 15 minutes. So that's what you need to be, get fluids for 15 minutes before you get the epidural. And the anesthesiologist came in, she's like, all right, I'm gonna need 2 minutes where you're just, even if you're having a contraction, you have to like stay still. I'm like, I do not think I can do that. Like this hurts. And so my OB walked in, and it's like she had a halo over her head and these beautiful big white wings or something. Like, so she's like, oh, okay, hold on, what's going on? And I talked to her. I'm like, these contractions are getting so intense that I'm having such a hard time, and like I feel like I'm hyperventilating through these contractions, like I'm having a hard time breathing through them. And then she was like, okay, and I can't even remember what happened after that. She was still in there. I'm like, she's like, okay, do you want me to check you before we do this? Do you want me to check you? I'm like, yeah, can you check me? Because I kind of feel like I'm getting the urge to push. And she's like, all right, let me check you real quick. She goes, you're 10 centimeters. She's out here. So if you want to start pushing, we can start pushing. I'm like, yes, because I feel like if I push, it'll relieve some pressure. And so my parents, so my mom, my brother, and my dad, they were all in the room with me while I was laboring. So they had to leave because the anesthesiologist came in to do the epidural. And so since I was no longer getting the epidural, I was like, can you please go get my mom? And so my mom came back. She thought she was coming in to me like being like, oh yeah, I got the epidural, you know, we're just chilling, waiting for Aubrey to come. And she came in and I was pushing. I had been pushing for, I maybe pushed once or twice, but I didn't have the nurses count for me. I pushed when I felt the urge to push, and for as long as I felt the urge to push, like, and that's just what felt right. And there are some times when I just went with it, you know. I let my body take over, and it was like such an out-of-body experience, just letting my body do what it's meant to do. And it was such a beautiful out-of-body experience. It wasn't, I was like, get this baby out of me, but at the same time, like, I can't even explain. It was a beautiful thing. But so I'm pushing, and you know, I push and I push, and I'm like, all right, this is about to be TMI, so if you get grossed out easily, you can either mute this part of the video or fast forward a few seconds. But I'm like, so was that a baby or was that poop that just came out? And she was like, well, Ashley, it wasn't a baby. You know, those nurses get in and out real quick. They're like, boop, boop, boop. All right, new pad under you. So we just kept on trucking. I didn't think that I'd want the mirror there to like see everything, but I'm so glad I did, because I was sitting there pushing and pushing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like she's right there, and they're all like, she's right there, and I'm like, I can't see anything. But the second I saw her hair, I'm like, okay, we are almost there. I'm this close to me and my baby. It was so much motivation, and next thing I know, I'm pulling her up on top of me, and just pure joy, like so much relief. And then she poops on me. Everyone starts laughing. She pooped on me, and it's that like dark tarry whatever. I didn't have them wipe her off or anything, so she literally went straight onto my chest, guts and all that fun stuff and all. So poop as well. And just a beautiful moment. I did delayed cord clamping, so we didn't cut the cord right away. So then, you know, we cut the cord, or my husband cut the cord, and we did skin to skin for 2 hours. It was like the golden period. So she was on me for 2 hours. Like, they did wipe her off while she was on me, but like, I wanted skin to skin for then, and we did introduce breastfeeding during that time as well. And then my husband did skin to skin with her. after about an hour and a half of me doing it. But she is just amazing. It was such a beautiful experience. I am extremely fortunate that I didn't have to get any stitches, which is like, that's the part about postpartum that I prepared myself, I think, for the most, was to have to deal with the healing of stitches. Now, I'm not telling you it didn't hurt down there, because girl, like, that first time peeing after delivering hurt like hell. And sitting down, I was like, oh my goodness, this hurts so bad. But I'm very fortunate, no stitches were needed, so cheers to that. So we were just like all, passing around. Like, I went to the bathroom with the nurse. Everyone else got to hold Aubrey after they did all the stuff that they needed to do with her. And I got to put my nice big diaper on and all that fun stuff. But we ordered Jimmy John's because the cafeteria was closed, because at this point, so she was born at 6:09 p.m. and by the time we were ready to eat, it was like 8-9 o'clock. So we ordered Jimmy John's, which I hadn't had deli meat my entire pregnancy, so that Jimmy John's sandwich was bomb. So once they finally got my postpartum suite ready, the nurse came in. She's like, well, since you didn't have the epidural, like, you're not hooked up to anything, would you like me to push you down in a wheelchair, or would you like to walk? And I'm like, I would like to walk. So walked to the elevator, walked into my postpartum suite, and the night nurse there was like, didn't you just give birth? And I'm like, yeah. And so she had given me props, which, felt good, because I so badly wanted a natural birth that I felt so empowered in that moment. And I had my baby girl with me, or she wasn't there. She was in the nursery when we got down to the suite, but it's just like, it was such an amazing experience. I loved being pregnant. I loved, like, my entire, like, labor and delivery went as I wanted, except for having to be induced. I really wanted to go into labor on my own, but that just didn't happen. But everything else, like, couldn't have asked for a better situation, and I'm so happy. I'm so fortunate that we were both healthy, and she's still doing great. She's a healthy, happy little girl, and I will show some pictures to you guys of just us at the hospital, and maybe some videos and stuff of what I can find. But so that's pretty much my labor and delivery story. We were just in the hospital for, I guess, 2 nights. So we got sent home. We got discharged like around noon on Sunday. She was born on Friday. My doctor was going to clear me to leave Saturday evening, and I wish we would have done that. I think in the future, if I have kids again, then I would like to do that if everything goes well. If I can leave early, I'd like to leave early. Like, Sunday, we literally were just sitting around doing nothing. So we were very fortunate to be in that situation, that we weren't, having to worry about a sick baby or sick me or anything. Like, everything went great. So we went home in the afternoon on Sunday the 5th. So that was my labor and delivery story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's definitely a story that I'm proud to tell. I think that anyone who goes through childbirth, whether it's a natural home birth or a natural birth in the hospital or a birthing center, or getting an epidural before you're even dilated, or a C-section, like whatever way that a child is born, it's beautiful. And more power to every single woman who's ever given childbirth, because it is not easy. Carrying a child for 9 months and then bringing that child into the world is not an easy thing. So props to anyone. Like, yes, I'm very proud of myself for doing it naturally, but anyone who has a baby should be proud of themselves. No matter which way you have it, like, be proud of yourself, because that is such an amazing gift to be given, and to being able to do it. Be proud of yourself. And if you know someone who's had a baby, like, give them a high five, like, let them know it's like, good for you, girl, more power to you. So yeah, so that's my labor and delivery story. Please like this video and subscribe if you're not already. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.